Hey friends, today is Wednesday, the 22nd of April. We're going to be continue to talk about weather, and we're going to be talking about clouds today. And I think I'd mentioned this to you guys before, but my mom was a teacher for 25, 30 years for middle school, and she taught science and math like me. But I could not look up at the clouds and just say, boy, those are pretty, without her saying, what kind are they, dear? Do you remember? There's different categories of clouds. Are these cirrus, cumulonimbus, what kind of clouds are they? So today we're going to be talking about clouds and wind. I think when I was younger, when I would see big puffy clouds that look like cotton candy, I would imagine jumping from one cloud to the next and how soft and squishy they would be to lay down on, before I realized that they're just little droplets of water, and that wouldn't work. You would fall to the earth. You would probably not survive if you were as high as a cloud and dropped through one. But when you see the big puffy clouds that look beautiful on a really pretty sunny day, did you know that those are actually considered thunderheads? That may mean that you're getting ready to have some rain or some weather of some kind. So we're going to be looking at the different types of clouds. And just like God said in the Bible, He told the people to watch the weather, to look at the clouds, because that would be one way that they would be able to judge maybe what's going to happen next. He talks about it in Luke 12:54 through 57, and he told the people that they were to be observant of weather clues, that they should notice the clouds and the wind. He said, but you also need to judge your own spiritual condition. Don't just pay attention to the things around you and ignore what's happening inside of you. So that's something to think about. Also, um, he would tell the people, like, what kind of weather that they should expect if they saw a cloud that would rise in the west, that a rain shower was possibly coming, or what kind of weather would they expect if the south wind would blow, and that could mean possible heat, warm weather, something like that. um, and so in today's discussion about the clouds and the wind, those are some things I want you to think about. Um, the clouds that look like horses' tails, those are some of my favorite. They're called cirrus clouds. Did you know that fog, when you're driving through it on your way to school in the mornings, is actually a cloud that's very close to the ground? So the warm air blows up over the cold air that is right near the ground, and the water vapor in the warm air cools close to the ground, and it condenses and forms a cloud right there on the ground. So just remember that clouds are tiny water droplets or ice crystals. Um, there's certain types of clouds that tell us, like cirrus clouds are going to tell us when a weather change is coming. Um, High, thin, wispy clouds are also cirrus clouds. Tall, dark columns are called thunder clouds. Um, Cumulus clouds, those are the large, tall, they can be dark, tell you that the stormy weather is coming. Sometimes they can be pure white, though. Um, all right, let's talk a little bit about the wind. What is wind? It's moving air. There's something called trade winds that happen on our planet, and I've got my little bouncy ball that's my globe here. And if we look at the trade winds, it's a wind pattern that blows constantly the same way. So just imagine that my finger is the wind, and it's blowing, and it blows in a certain pattern across the Earth's surface. A lot of boats, whenever they were sailing from Europe towards the Americas, they would get in what they call the trade winds, because they were predictable wind patterns that, when they had sailboats instead of motorboats, would propel them in the direction they wanted to go. And if they didn't have wind, they weren't moving. Or moving very slowly. So they wanted those winds to be predictable and to move them along so they could get to their destination. Um, Many of you probably have flown a kite before. What kind of wind is best for flying a kite? Do you want like super fast, hard winds? No, you're going to end up wrestling that kite the whole time. Do you want a soft, gentle, but continuous blowing wind? Yeah, that's probably what you're going to want to fly a kite. If you have a kite and it's a pretty day today, you should go fly a kite this afternoon as an activity. Also going to be looking at a couple tools that scientists use to study weather. The weather vane will tell you what direction the weather is blowing. I love weather vanes. I like the way they look. I like the little rooster that sits on top and it has the northeast, southwest on there. Our neighbors actually have a weather vane at their house, which is pretty cool. It tells you what direction the wind's blowing. An anemometer is something that measures wind speed. It kind of looks like a bunch of cups on the end of a pole, and scientists or anybody can measure how fast that anemometer is going to judge what the wind speed is like. They use those especially during severe weather to measure hurricane force winds. If you've ever been at the beach and there's been a hurricane warning or something like that because you're along the coast, they measure wind speeds up to 100, 150 miles an hour. So that's some pretty strong wind. You probably wouldn't be able to stand up in that. Okay, so today your assignment in your workbook is page 135 and 136. It's going to be talking about condensation as it relates to clouds. And you're going to be identifying 4 different kinds of clouds. And let me see what I have here on the back page. And also they're going to be doing, asking you some questions about precipitations and the 4 different kinds of precipitation that we talked about earlier. All right, see you tomorrow.